I'm Sean from Frayle. I've been asked to go through some of the thinking and how I play guitar and some of the scales I use and tunings and things like that. And also show you a couple of Frayle songs. So to start, I play in drop B. If you don't know what that is, maybe press pause and go look it up. If you tune to drop B, you could play along with what we're doing. It might make it easier. So again, that's drop B. And what else? And we're going to start playing scales. When I say notes, I'm going to speak more in terms of tablature. Like if I say O, that means an open string, or if I say 3 or 5, that means a fret. So if I say O 3 5, it means O 3 5. So the scale that I use, I believe, is the pentatonic scale, but I'm not sure about that. So we'll start on the low string. It would be O 3 5, and then you go one string up, and then you also play 3 5 on there. So it'd be. So that's the basic sort of rock notes, and you could play a bunch of riffs just with those notes. So what I just did there on the end was bend a little bit. I'm a fan of negative space in riffs. Like I don't like to fill up every square inch with notes. So I'll let a lot of notes hang, or write a riff and then I'll take some notes out, and then that'll be the one that people end up hearing. So I do a lot of things like bending notes or use pedals, and we'll get into that in a little bit, to fill that negative space, because to me that's more interesting. I like hearing things decay or bounce around or kind of swirl around. So the bend that I just did there on the octave, like I do that a lot. Or I'll bend power chords just because they sound creepier. Like that's from that's our cover Ring of Fire. That's what it's like on 5. So that's sort of basic low notes. And then if you go 3 5 on the next string, which I think is the 3rd string, you're really just doing the octave of this. But if you play those all in a row, there's a lot of riffs in there. It's like every Clutch song. A lot of Black Sabbath is in there. And you can just make stuff up. Like I just make that up and let your fingers get used to going around 3 and 5, and you're pretty much playing rock songs. So that all day long you can do that. So 3 5 on the 2nd string is also 10 12 on the low string, but it's a lot thicker and beefier if you do it up there because you're hitting the thicker strings. You can bar it when you're in drop B so that you're actually hitting 3 notes, which is what I do. I don't usually just hit 2 on a power chord. I try to hit 3, if not 4. Another thing I do is I do a lot of up strokes or up picking, whatever that's called, because I like to hear the before the note. It's a little more interesting to me, so I'm always like, as opposed to, and it's probably really subtle, but to me it's makes it more interesting, especially because there's a lot of space in what we're doing. So that's just going through those notes that I just showed you. So those are the root notes. From there, there's the way that I think about it, and I taught myself how to play guitar, so this might not be right as far as music theory, but it's how I think. So those are my root notes, and then from there I can add personality onto it. So I can either go make it sad and emo, or I can make it what I call dry, and that's more like a doomy Black Sabbath. stuff. So the emo you'd be 0-3-5, and then I would go 7-8. So because to me that 8, the 8th fret is like really sad, emotional. Whatever gap that is, I don't know. The 8th fret, 8-0 is pretty emotional. So if you start there and you throw 7 and then 3 and slide around, you're in my mind basically writing Frayle riffs. And then to make that more interesting, I will put on usually I'll put a rat or this white witch, which is a pedal that Occult Effects made. I worked on it with Al on taking my modded rat and making that a little different, adding some mids, and we ended up with this white witch pedal. And I guess we'll go over the pedal board now. So I'm gonna throw up a picture so you guys can see the top row of the pedal board is, you'll see the afterneath. There's a Time Shadows, White Witch, and then it jumps over to the Life pedal, and then the Evil filter, and then there's the Volume pedal, and that Expression pedal is affecting the Evil filter. That all those right there go into the front of the amp. And the bottom row of the pedal board, starting with the MXR reverb, transmitter, organizer, the slow reverb, another afterneath going in the back. This is a crazy modded pedal that I'm gonna do a demo on it because it's awesome. It's a modded Earthquaker pedal with a hot button on it, and I'm still learning how to use it, but I'll do another video on that because it's badass. And then tone job is an EQ that usually I use to cut things as opposed to boost things. So those all go into the loop, the effects loop into the back of the head, and I'll show you later why I have 2 afterneaths, and you'll hear a difference on why. But so anyways, we're gonna go to the White Witch, and then I'll show you our song Dead Inside, and there's a lot of space in it, and that's why I use the White Witch to fill that space up. So Dead Inside goes like this. To hear all that swirling, like with the open ringing notes. I like to hear that distortion kind of swirling around, like almost like it's in a cauldron of whatever gain. And so to me, a rat does a really good job of that. You can do that with fuzzes, but I really like the rat's a little thicker, and that low end, like not many pedals can get down there. So that's one way that I use pedals to sort of make those riffs with a lot of space just to me sound more interesting. So going back to like the emo, that's the sad emo thing. Or you can go like what I call dry, which is more Black Sabbath, like that. So that's 6. That's using the 6th fret, and then also you can use the 1st fret. To like get that kind of creepier, doomy, like. So all day you can just, do the basic rock scale and then throw in some 6s in there, like the 6th fret, and it's going to get spookier. So that's sort of the 2 ways that I think about riffs. It's like dry and 6s and 1s, or emo and 7s and 8s, and you can combine those. And I think the lower in tuning you get, the more that kind of works out for you. And to me, it starts sounding more like classical music, where they're mixing scales and notes, and they're not just sticking to minor. They're throwing in major notes, and they're really taking the listener on a journey And the more you mix those up, I think the more interesting it is, especially now that, you know, rock music has been around for a while and pretty much every riff starts sounding the same because how many rock and roll riffs can, you know, you write. So the more you spice it up with odd notes, to me it makes it more interesting. So like, I'll kind of mix it up and you'll see how it's like a little different. So normal rock would be, and then if you want to make it emo, or the dry Sabbath, and then now I'll mix it up. That's mixing up. So you can do any combination of those. The way that my mind works, I usually stick to one of them because I kind of get lost and I can't understand the personality of the riff sometimes if I mix it up too much. So I stick to one thing. I'm sort of growing out of that, but that's, I think, being raised on Quicksand and learning how to play those songs, I got stuck sort of thinking one way, but starting to expand on that. But it's totally your call on like what feels more natural to you. I'd say I'm in the minority and liking the emo stuff better. I think more guys would probably like the 5/6 kind of Sabbathy stuff better, but it's totally your call. All right, so let's get up to some more strings. So the fourth string, I'm just playing an octave of the root note, which is B, and I'm usually doing that kind of stuff. And then I'll play up on 14 sometimes. That's pretty much that's me soloing. Like I'm not really good at the more strings than that. But if you put an afterneath on this, so I like that way more than like I like hearing the that's the afterneath in the front of the amp. If you put it in the back, you'll hear the delays a little cleaner, and I prefer the front. So that's the back of the amp. Here's the front of the amp. So there's a little more gain on them, and it just sounds like creepier to me, and I like that. I'm really into like building textures with pedals and trying to not necessarily use them for what they're intended to, or putting gain on it so that it mixes in with low end, just like drop B music. I even sometimes, what makes fun of me for this pedal, it's the organizer, but I like to put it on some of the really low rhythm chords that we're playing, because it just elevates it a little bit. It almost sounds a little like a steel drum, but like one of our, in Dead Inside, there's a part that goes, hold on. So without that, with it, it just brings it up a little bit. Probably at a show no one can hear that, but I know it's there. The life pedal, also throwing an octave on there, does a similar thing. But it doesn't do the same thing as an organizer. It kind of sounds like a pipe organ, and to me it elevates the riff a little bit. I don't use it often because Gwen likes to make fun of me, but I like it. What else we got going on? Oh, let's talk about guitar for a second. this is probably the most unorganized guitar video you've ever seen. So we'll go back to the guitar. I like to have an aggressive pickup in the bridge position, and I usually have the volume on 10. And then I prefer to play guitars that have a volume and tone for this pickup and a volume and tone for this one. And I like the neck pickup to usually be stock or even like a P90 because I use it clean. So volume on 10 on this and volume maybe on 1.5 on this one. So here's the 10 volume, and then I can have a clean or, close to clean. I really like doing like up front and the transmitter in the back. Transmitter is what's doing that kind of. Volume swells. I do a lot of volume swell stuff, and I usually try to put a tail on the end of it, meaning there's a reverb going on. So, because to me, like this kind of sounds boring. But if you put afterneath and some reverbs and stuff on it, then that's volume swells. I use those a lot, like in intros or in the middle of the song sometimes, or just when you're sitting around playing, because that sounds amazing. Like it sounds more like there's an orchestra playing with you. I don't know. I think that's it. I'll show you one more thing. How to make sort of boring riffs a little more interesting. This is a song off our first EP called White Witch, which is. So all that is bending, like it's just a 10-12 hammer-on, like a hammer-on's when you go, and I'm bending it, and I just got used to using my middle finger to bend bar chords on a drop tuning guitar, and I love it. Like, so I'm always doing that because to me it's like way more personality in a riff, and my style is kind of playing less notes, so I got to make it more interesting. So those bends along with the pedals, to me, make things sound like Frayle. So I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section, and I will do my best to get back to them and answer you. And I don't know, I hope you enjoyed this, and stay safe out there, and hope to see you soon, whether that's on the road or on the internet again. Okay, thanks guys, bye.